Hi everybody, I'm Sindhuja from FIDE. I think you've heard a fairly long lineup of speakers talking about Beacon and FIDE. You can see the logos there, so I won't spend too much time on the introduction, but I'll just dive into the topic right away. I think we heard quite a bit about manufacturing, Industry 4.0 and all of that. My focus is a little bit on logistics, and I just want to leave you with one thought at the end of this presentation. And if you leave with that thought, I will have considered this a bit of a success. And the thought being the need for standardization and hence interoperability in the logistics industry today, more today than any other time so far. And I'll get to that in a bit. The numbers speak for themselves. The logistics industry touches almost everything we do today. I mean, probably half the products in this room have traveled across the globe and are here for us to use today. All of us probably have some home deliveries happening, right? Must have happened this week. So it touches our lives, and that's fueled by e-commerce. The last 10 years, exponential growth. We are familiar with giants like Amazon, Walmart, Alibaba, all across the world. And of course, a lot of flourishing smaller brands, smaller e-commerce players across the world, right? So connected logistics fueled by commerce is something that has given a big boost to the logistics industry. Having said that, logistics cuts across almost every sector that you can think of, agriculture to pharma to, I mean, you can see a long list here. These are some numbers from India. Pick an industry, it has logistics as its backbone, and retail, of course, being the biggest chunk worldwide, retail and e-commerce. The point I'm trying to make here is it is ubiquitous and exceedingly complex, not only for within a country, but it's cross-border today. Supply chains are necessarily global, both on the supply side as well as market side, or both for several organizations. And not only is it global, it is extremely fragmented across modes of transport, across sectors, and across geographies. So there's a lot to unpack here, lot you can optimize. And a lot of innovation is happening in this sector, but is unfortunately happening in silos. I mean, we heard a lot of good solutions today. We know a lot of innovation is happening today. But what more can we do if all of this were to work together? So that's the thought I want to get to. And again, there are some numbers here. Whatever numbers we see on the screen today are only the part of the formal economy or the organized sector that is being tracked. We very well know, at least in India, there's a huge informal sector, unorganized sector that's not even in the radar. And there's a lot that can be done if they can be brought into the formal economy and optimized, right? So there's a huge opportunity there as well when it comes to firstly formalizing them. And that requires a way for them to get on board in a way that's not complex, that's not difficult. Digitization should not be a nightmare for them. And all of this fragmentation basically leads to loss of efficiency, lot of leakage, loss of value. The logistics value chain itself involves so many players, again, within a region, across countries, across states, and so on and so forth. And they are all operating in silos. Their systems don't talk to each other. Data mismatches happen, all of which leads to billions of dollars of loss annually. Again, there are reports that corroborate this. So how can we unlock this value, or how can we stop the leakage? Through standardization and interoperability. And for this, I want to take the analogy from the physical realm in logistics. I think a lot of us will be familiar with this example. If you go back to the 1950s, the American entrepreneur Malcolm McLean came up with the idea of standardizing the shipping container. A simple 8 feet by 8 feet by 37 feet container that can be easily transported across trains, trucks, ships, so on and so forth. The equipment that handles those containers can be built with predictability and standards again. It led to a lot of efficiency in terms of avoiding manual loading and unloading that was happening till then. And a simple innovation like this completely revolutionized the global logistics industry. In fact, logistics became global because of this. Globalization was possible because of this simple innovation in the physical realm. And you can see the numbers there again in terms of efficiency, in terms of the quantum of goods that are being transported through standardized containers today. Taking the same thing forward a bit to the digital realm. Having standards in the physical logistics space enabled innovation. Similarly, having standards in the internet space. I mean, this is the original, you could say, global digital infrastructure that we all use. Having TCP/IP standards, having HTTP standards, have enabled communication of data packets across devices, across networks, you can build switches, load balancers, hardware, all of that because of standards, right? Which basically revolutionized digital economies worldwide and enabled innovation, private and public innovation. So having standards helps markets, helps take all the stakeholders involved in all value chains, right? And standardization also enables interoperability. When two systems talk the same language, or when two packets of data are transported across systems, are understood by each of those systems, that's interoperability basically, right? And having standardization enables interoperability. Interoperability unlocks value. Again, there are reports which clearly state savings in cost, increase in productivity, basically reducing inefficiencies across the logistics value chain. And how do you achieve standards? I spoke about it. You need some common language. My colleagues, ecosystem partners, everybody have spoken about it. Beacon is a common language, a common set of specifications that enables any two systems across any sector. It's an abstracted protocol, so it works across any sector. We saw examples in energy, we saw examples in mobility, commerce. We have live open networks that operate on Beacon based on this principle. Because having a common language, a universal open protocol, serves as a catalyst for innovation. I think this diagram must have repeated itself a few times today, but I just want to touch upon this to reinforce the concept that having a common language allows platforms to operate as they are without having to change how they operate, but allows them to be discovered across the network by several other platforms. So basically it unlocks access, it provides choice on the consumer side. On the buyer side, it gives them access to a larger market. Much like how the global digital infrastructure that we use daily, probably without realizing it, be it email, be it telephony, the internet itself. And with this in mind, I hope I've convinced you a little bit about the need for standardization and interoperability and the value it can unlock. Now I want to see some thoughts, maybe it can unlock better ideas and more imagination from the folks here on how we are already looking at live networks based on this concept, as well as some ideas that are still under exploration. ONDC, the live network in India, 12 million transactions as of last month on the network, but it also provides logistics as a service, both on the buyer side and seller side on network logistics. That clocked 1 million transactions as of June. Enables connectivity to remote regions. It's a pan-India logistics service across 28 states, all the union territories. Enables farmer-producer organizations to reach supply as well as their markets. Small D2C brands, up-and-coming MSME sellers So basically, again, democratizes access, provides choice. This is live, operating with these number of transactions. This is the first example. And taking the same concept forward, this is an exploratory conversation that we are having with an organization in the US about consolidating a long tail of small shippers in the US to be able to provide provide shipping services to, again, small sellers. This is an early stage, but very much like ONDC logistics, just in a different geography. The US market is dominated by a few, again it's fragmented, so there are a few top players who dominate the market, but a very long tail of small shippers who also need access to this kind of a market. Going even further down to a very specific area in the logistics value chain. If you just look at standardizing shipping labels, forget all of the processes and data and all of that. Just looking at standardization in the shipping labels that we see on all the boxes that we receive, or in B2B logistics between players, just being able to standardize that, not, I don't mean in the physical sense, but in the information packets that it carries, has the potential to cut losses because of avoiding misrouting, because of enabling quicker customs clearance, and basically enabling faster deliveries. This is another conversation that we're having in the same organization in the US. And lastly, I just wanted to touch upon it, but I think it's already well covered. Industry 4.0, this is a project that we did earlier with Hof University, Germany, as a proof of concept, enabling a virtual assembly line where you can imagine the entire manufacturing value chain as being completely unbundled. And you're able to shop as a, say if I want to manufacture a shoe, and every component I can go on to an open network, shop for supplies, look for an assembly line that will put it together, look for a packaging provider who will put that together, and then ship it out. So literally a virtual assembly line for manufacturing. Again, it's a proof of concept that we developed, and that's available for demos. These were again just a few of the use cases and ideas that I hope that trigger some imagination. But the key point here is standardization and interoperability can revolutionize the logistics industry and unlock economic value for all the stakeholders in the value chain. And the way it will do it is pretty obvious in terms of the impact it has on both the logistics value chain and all of the allied sectors that it caters to. With this, I end my talk. Yeah.
Thank you very much.